My brother stood up at Thanksgiving dinner and announced my parents gave him my company. He thought I'd stay quiet. I didn't. My name is Ayana, and I'm 29 years old. There are smells that comfort people: cinnamon, fresh bread, rain on warm pavement. And then there are smells that haunt. For me, it's roasted turkey. Not because of the food, but because of what happened the night it filled the air. Because that was the night my brother stood up at Thanksgiving dinner and calmly announced that our parents had given him the company I built, and that I was getting nothing. Even now, years later, that smell can tighten my jaw before I even realize why. Because betrayal has a scent too. Sharp, metallic, unmistakable. That night started like every other carefully orchestrated family gathering. The long oak table had been polished until it reflected the warm glow of candlelight. My mother always insisted on symmetry: plates evenly spaced, napkins folded just so, wine glasses aligned like soldiers waiting for inspection. Everything looked perfect. It always did. But perfection has a way of hiding fractures. I noticed the details because I always noticed the details. It's how I built my company. It's how I survived my family. I arrived early, like I usually did. Not out of obligation, but habit. Control. When you grow up in a family where conversations feel like negotiations, you learn early that preparation is everything. My mother was already in the kitchen, orchestrating dishes like a conductor guiding a symphony. "Oh, good you're here," she said without looking up. "Set the table, of course." I smiled faintly. Some rules never change. As I placed the plates, I ran my fingers along the edge of the table. This table. It had seen more truth than anyone sitting at it ever acknowledged. It was where I used to sit at 2 a.m., laptop open, spreadsheets glowing against the dark while everyone else slept, napping out business strategies between bites of cold leftovers. Where I built something real, while being treated like I was doing something trivial. By the time everyone arrived, the house was full. Voices overlapping, laughter bouncing off the walls, the television murmuring in the background. My brother arrived last, as always. He walked in like the evening had been waiting for him to begin. Tailored suit, perfect posture, that same easy confidence that never seemed earned, just assumed. "Ayana," he said, giving me a brief hug. Polished, distant, performative. "How's work?" I held his gaze just long enough. Thriving, a flicker, barely noticeable. But I saw it. I always saw it. Dinner began like it always did. Small talk, surface level conversations, carefully curated normalcy. But underneath, something felt off. Like a note slightly out of tune. Like the air knew something before the people did. Then it happened. My brother stood up. The room shifted instinctively. He didn't rush, didn't stumble. He never stumbled. He lifted his glass slightly. "Before we eat," he began, voice steady and confident. "I just want to say something." Forks paused. Eyes turned. The room leaned in. "I want to thank Mom and Dad for believing in me." Pause. "For trusting me with the future." Another pause. "And for officially handing me the company." Silence. Total. Immediate. Heavy. "And Ayana won't be involved anymore." If sound could fracture, that moment would have shattered. I didn't react. Not outwardly. But inside, everything sharpened. Not surprise. No, this wasn't new. This was confirmation. I looked at my parents. My mother adjusted her napkin. My father stared at the table. Neither met my eyes. Not once. And that's when I understood. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was planned. Carefully. Deliberately. Cruelly. They didn't just want to take the company. They wanted me to accept it. Quietly. My brother kept talking, painting himself as the solution, the next step, the stronger leader. Words that sounded impressive, but meant nothing, because none of them were built on truth. And as he spoke, my mind went somewhere else, back to the beginning. A cramped studio apartment, peeling paint, unreliable heating. I was 23, no investors, no safety net, no one backing me, just an idea, and the refusal to let it die. I remembered my first client, rehearsing the pitch 100 times, my voice trembling anyway, promising results I wasn't sure I could deliver, then staying awake for 2 days to make sure I did. I remembered signing contracts with shaking hands, payroll weeks where I paid my employees first even if it meant skipping meals, because responsibility mattered more than comfort, because failure wasn't an option. I built that company, every inch of it. And now my brother stood there like he owned the story. I picked up my glass of wine. Slow, intentional. The cool glass grounded me. I took a sip, and in that moment, everything became clear. Their plan relied on one thing, my silence. I set the glass down, gently, looked at my father, and said, "Should I tell them now? Or do you want to?" The room froze, not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. My father looked at me, really looked, for the first time that night, and in his eyes, I saw it, fear. He tried to speak something about timing, family, gratitude, but the words didn't land because the room had already shifted. Everyone was watching me now. "I'll ask again," I said quietly. "Should I tell them now? Or do you want to?" My brother's confidence cracked, just slightly, but enough. I let the silence stretch. Let it become uncomfortable. Let it demand truth. Then I spoke. Clearly, precisely, without emotion clouding the facts. I told them the company was never a family effort, that it started with me alone at 23, with a loan I personally repaid. I explained how every contract listed me as founder and sole owner, how every legal document reinforced that reality, how my parents entered later offering advice that slowly turned into control, and how my brother was never part of it. Not when it mattered. Then I reached beside my chair and placed the folder on the table. Inside proof, every document, every agreement, every email. My father flipped through it, and with each page, his posture sank. My brother tried to interrupt, called it exaggeration, said I was overreacting, that the company needed real leadership. I waited. Then said, "You were named interim CEO." Without legal authority. Silence again. Heavier this time. "I found out weeks ago." I continued. "I spoke to legal counsel." I waited. That word hit hardest. "I waited because I thought you'd choose honesty." Pause. "But you didn't." The room erupted. Voices clashing. Accusations flying. My brother shouting. My parents deflecting. And me standing still. Peace without fairness, I said calmly, is just silence. Eventually, my uncle stood. Enough. Facts matter more than pride. And finally, my father spoke the truth. The company is Ayana's. Everything ended in that moment. I stood. Calm, light, free. Then the rest can be handled legally, I said. And I walked out. The cold air hit differently that night. Not harsh, not biting, just real. My heart was racing, but my spine was straight. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying them anymore. The aftermath wasn't clean. Messages, excuses, half-hearted apologies, silence, but the outcome, unavoidable. My brother lost the illusion. My parents lost control. And I gained something far more valuable. Clarity. The company stabilized under leadership based on competence, not blood. And I learned something I wish I had understood sooner. Family loyalty does not mean accepting betrayal. Now, when people ask if I regret that night, I remember the candles, the silence, the moment everything shifted. And I smile. Because in the end, everything changed because of one question. Should I tell them now? Or do you want to? And once I asked it, there was no going back.